Dr. Medina says that imaging studies have shown that exercise literally increases blood volume in a region of the brain called the dentate gyrus. That's a big deal. The dentate gyrus is a vital constituent of the hippocampus, a region deeply involved in memory formation, i.e. learning. So this blood flow increase, which may be the result of new capillaries, allows more brain cells greater access to both the blood's food and also the hazmat teams. So when we eat food and we break it down, we create chemicals in our body that have to be removed. It's hazardous material when he says hazmat teams, and that's what oxygen does.
Exactly.
It takes it out. So when we exercise, we increase the capillaries in our brain so that our brain can actually get more fuel from the food and also more oxygen, so the oxygen can carry out those hazardous materials so we think more efficiently.
And those are the two functions of breathing.
Right.
Is, feeding the cells, feeding your body, feeding your tissues with healthy nutrients, and as well as eliminating the waste through the breathing, through the body.
Let's go to that clip of Dr. John Medina explaining brain rule number 1, exercise.
Scandal number 1, where the only mystery lies in why we're not fixing it. If you were to design an almost perfect anti-brain learning environment, it would look something like this. And if you were to design an almost perfect anti-brain working environment, it would look something like this. Why? Because tiny proteins called BDNFs are actually created when you exercise and act like Miracle-Gro for your brain. Brain rule number 1, exercise boosts brain power. So, this is your child's brain in the classroom. This is your child's brain on the playground. At least if he's moving. And likewise, this is your brain at work. And this is your brain walking to work. Let's look at that in the actual setting. Here are your kids in the classroom. And here are your kids on the playground. And, once again, here is your employee at work. And here is your employee on the way to work. The problem lies in the fact that we measure distance today in terms of the space between the refrigerator, bathroom, and couch. Says Robert Hutchins, "Whenever I feel like exercise, I lie down until the feeling passes." Our ancestors, on the other hand, walked an average of 12 miles a day, and hence the brain developed as a survival organ that was designed to solve problems in an unstable environment in almost constant motion. If our ancestors had laid around, well, let's just say that evolution didn't favor the sedentary types. So, what are we to do? Well, if I were an employer, I would want this brain working for me instead of this one. Wouldn't that just be good business? Motivated employees who are more productive, since exercise aids all areas of executive function, like concentration, impulse control, foresight, problem solving. We'd get employees who are more creative, and equally significant, employees who are healthier. Do you know that Starbucks actually spends more on healthcare costs than they do on coffee beans? What if we could cut those costs by having healthier and happier employees? How do we do this? Well, maybe we could use our brains. How about encouraging employees to have walking meetings or take phone calls on the move? You can create a treadmill conference room or a moving workstation where you could do your emails while you exercised. Or try a lower tech solution. Or mix it all together and get creative. We still don't know much about how the brain works, but the little we do know suggests that the way we behave at school or at work needs some serious rethinking.
That was a great clip. I love right at the beginning where that person says that, every time I feel like exercising and I was getting all inspired, like, okay, what do? I just lay on the couch and wait till it wears off.
Yeah, I've definitely
Crack
had
me
my,
up.
my evenings flat on the back with a chicken wing in my hand. I can absolutely relate. But when I tell myself, get up and move and exercise, and I go, oh, I don't want to, I tell myself, you know what, Brandy, 5 minutes. If you don't want to do it after 5 minutes, you get back on the couch, and invariably, I start moving for 5 minutes, I want to keep going. So it just takes that extra little oomph just to tell yourself, let's get going. And we actually have a way to really get going when you really have those healthy body and ideal weight goals. I do an interview with Mr. Luis Alvidrez of Upward Motion in Albuquerque. He's a personal trainer, and he has a studio there. And he's just really wonderful in the way he combines all aspects of getting your ideal shape and size. And I really enjoyed meeting Luis and interviewing with him. I've known him actually for a while. See him around town all the time. He's like an Albuquerque icon. He's everywhere. You show up somewhere, there's Luis. He's shaving his head for Alzheimer's. This interview
right.
was pre head shaving, but he raised money for Alzheimer's research, and because they reached their goal, he shaved his head. So he's really committed to this community. So,
And he's such a great guy. It was a great interview, Brandy, and I really loved how he brings the mind. What a concept. Brings the mind power, the creative mind power into the workout as well, into the exercise programs. So I thought that was brilliant.
yeah, so let's check out this video of Luis and I. Hello, I'm here with Luis Alvidrez at Upward Motion here in Albuquerque. Luis is a personal trainer and a good friend of ours. He's got a great philosophy on the mind-body experience, and he's agreed to have a great interview with us here today. So, Luis, how did you get into becoming a personal trainer?
I got into becoming a personal trainer when I was 17.
Mm-hmm.
It was at that time when I was 17 that I had a capture the mind moment. And what I mean by capture the mind moment is that you have those moments in your life to where such as something extravagant in your life happens, and you really look at where you're at that point in time in your life. And what you try to do is you examine your life and you try to plan towards something greater, in other words. So I had a capture the mind moment. So I witnessed one of my my good friends compete in a bodybuilding competition.
Oh, cool.
It was at that point in time when I saw her that I was like, I want to be on that stage. At that time when I was 17, I was overweight, depressed, just like many other 17-year-olds. I started a lot where a lot of my clients start off with. So I know exactly what they go through. So it was at that point in time when it was at New Year's of 2003 when I decided that I was going to do this. So in about 6 months, I was training with one of my mentors at that time, and he decided that we should do this bodybuilding competition. So it was at that point in time when that 6 months I lost about 40 pounds and did my first bodybuilding show, which was at that point in time, it gave me direction, it gave me a sense of a purpose, a goal, in other words, which a lot of people at that age really do not have. So it's that's why I got into personal training. It's just really just to sense to help people the way that my mentor helped me, the way I could help other people.
Fantastic. And going from, being a little overweight to 6 months later participating in a bodybuilding contest, seems to me like besides the work, we all know that there's certain things about eating right and moving your body and exercising in a certain way. What were you doing at that time? What were you telling yourself? How were you working with your mind to reach such an awesome goal in just 6 months' time?
And it's really interesting that you mentioned that. It was, have you ever read a book, Think and Grow Rich?
Oh, yeah. It's one of Mitch and I's favorite books.
Yes. So I guess what Carnegie talks about is that you have a clear definition, and you have a clear mind frame that you're going to do something no matter what. Okay, it's just like you're going to wake up the next morning and you're going to go to work. I had that clear definition in my head at that 6 months. I may have not realized that, but I did have that, look, I'm going to do this no matter what. And that was that clear-cut decision that I made at that point in time to really push myself towards that level. So during those 6 months, it was a lot of mind stuff, a lot of self-sacrifice, a lot of time management. It took a lot of courage in order for that, but I think the underlying foundational reason was I had that decision. So I wanted to make that decision. I made that decision, and that was it,